She's back! Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Karen and I am your host. Thank you so much to both my returning subscribers and my new subscribers. It's a lot of fun to hear from you guys. I love the comments. Please feel free to comment below. Those of you that have been following me on Instagram and here on YouTube know that I released a pattern recipe for the sand art cowl that I designed. I'm saying designed. I could not find anything else like it on Ravelry, so I hope that it is my own unique use of German short rows that creates these wonderful waves of color. So check out my Ravelry page, check out my tutorials. I did 3 video tutorials, sort of like tutorial alongs, excuse me, that you can follow while you're knitting this cowl. And I do have some ideas to expand upon that, so stay tuned for that. I am starting today, I'm a little bit dressed up, I'm going to change, but I really wanted to show you this shrug. It is called the Matrimonio Bolero. So I used Juniper Moon Findley in the colorway Tropical Teal, held together with a Hedgehog Fibers lace weight Cashmerino, held together with an Art Yarns Glitter H26, so it has silver stellina instead of gold, and which I found at Webb's. And actually I have been knitting with that particular Art Yarns glitter mohair for years. I love the colorway. I have combined it with navy blue, I've combined it with teal, I've combined it with variegated yarns, I've combined it with speckle yarns, and I just love the outcome. And so who knows, I might be doing more with it. So I used those 3 yarns and cast on, and this is a free pattern. It is called the Matrimonio Bolero, and I will link it below. And I did a crochet edging. Let me get up close. I'll show you that. So around the hem, I did a crochet the shell stitch, and around the back so that I could lengthen the back portion slightly, as you can see. I did a little short row shaping with the crochet. First I did a single crochet chain around the body of the shrug, and then on the lower half I did an extra row just on the bottom, so I guess you'd call it a short row. And then I went around again and did the shell stitch because I wanted the neckline to fit more snugly in this area here so that it stays on. I made another version and it wasn't tight enough, and so it kept sliding off my arms here. So I made sure that if you do this and you do that crochet edging, you can do, a shell or picot edging. I've tried the picot, and actually I think I really like the shell stitch better, the crochet shell stitch. And just try it on as you go in case you need to rip back with the crochet and tighten it here a little bit so that it fits snugly. But I'm so thrilled. I just love this, and I think this is a great piece to be worn, at a restaurant, or if you run to the mall. And this one is a little dressy. But if you do it in a more casual yarns and just for casual wear, if you're in a restaurant or go to lunch with the girls or knitting with anyone and it's chilly because of the air conditioning in the summer, you can throw this on and it's light enough you can just throw it in your bag and you'll be good to go. But I love this so much, and I love those 3 yarns held together. Actually, I'm using those 3 yarns to knit something else, but I'll talk about that in works in progress. So this finished object I am over the moon about. I just love it so much. As you can see here, I have, and I'll do a little costume change. This is the dissolve sweater, and so I will show you that in a moment. Hold on. You guys, I'm winging it today. I'm not using notes, so this could be a problematic episode. So as you can see, I changed. I was following, well, I have been following Trey Liz, and she's so darling. And on her Trey Liz posted on her Instagram maybe a month or so, 2 months ago, a month ago, a sweater, and I just loved it. It was so pretty, and it is called the Dissolve Sweater. Let me show you that. And it is by Marion M. I saw this sweater, and it has that sort of fade effect. Well, dissolve, right? Fade, dissolve. And I have not yet I have not yet knit any of the patterns that have that dissolve or fade effect. I just haven't. So when I saw this, I thought, oh my gosh, this will be such a great spring, I think summer too. I think I could wear it in the summer and fall, because in Los Angeles, of course, it's always warm. So I went through my stash and I pieced together some colors. I went through my stash, and I recently purchased, Yarn Scout was having a great sale on their Hedgehog Fibers. It is the non-superwash sport yarn. So it's 100% merino, non-superwash. And I purchased 1 or 2 skeins a while ago when they first went on sale, because I wanted to see how vibrant the colors were, because it's not superwash, so I know it takes the color differently. But I was so impressed. I think the colors are almost as vibrant as the superwash yarn. And I say almost, only because I think superwash, the yarn has a little bit of a sheen to it for some reason. I guess because it's superwash. But somehow it has kind of a sheen to it, almost as if there were silk in it, but there isn't. So I love the yarn, so I bought a lot of it, and it was selling out quickly, and so I was just stashing it. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. So when I saw this, the Dissolve sweater, I thought, oh my gosh, I can use some of those yarns. So I laid them out, and I thought, I wasn't sure, you guys. I look here. My husband loves the colors. I mean, I love the colors. It's nothing about the colors. I just think for my first attempt at fading, I could have done a better job. And I didn't have 5 skeins of colors that would fade properly. And I don't like to do an even number. If I'm going to fade, I want an odd number. So I could really only use 3 colorways, and these seemed to flow, but then as I knit them, I wasn't really sure, and so I was concerned that it wasn't really a great fade. But now that it's done, I washed it, I blocked it. Oh my God, I'm thrilled with it. Plus I wanted a little neon. That's why I have the yellow at the bottom. I think I could have added, for me, and this, nothing about the pattern. This is just, right now I'm talking about in my knitting. So I think I could have put a little more of the darker blue. And the pattern actually calls for many fewer rounds here for the fade portion. And I didn't follow that exactly. I thought, well, I'm not going to follow those directions exactly. I'm going to just kind of fade it the way I think I want it. And you know what? At first I wasn't sure, and now I love it. The pattern is great. It is super easy to follow. It's well written. Marion it's such a clever, easy, lovely pattern. It's really nice. I would recommend it. And you can actually make this in 1 colorway. You can do it in 10 colorways. You can do whatever you want. Well, maybe 10's exaggerating. But you can really play with colors. I'm definitely going to make another one. One thing I would say to be aware of is some knitters and makers like to fade from light to dark. Because I am a cool complected person, I really prefer to keep my dark colors up top, because somehow it usually, depending on the colorway, but usually that looks better on my skin tone. And because of that, there is a little detail on the pattern, which is so cute, but it gets lost in the dark yarn. So I think keep that in mind when you're doing your color selections. That and I looked at other project pages, and it's you can notice that detail if you use a lighter colorway up top. And I didn't realize, I guess I wasn't thinking. I was very lucky. I usually go down a needle size with patterns, and sometimes even I'll have to work, I will figure out how many stitches are between each size, and sometimes even the extra small ends up being too big, or it's too much ease and I don't like it, so I will go down even, I'll have to recalculate the math a little bit. I did not have to do that on this pattern, and I think because the pattern, the yarn used in the pattern was a superwash yarn, which grows, right? I used a non-superwash yarn, and so I thought, and it was sporty, and I think this one is a fingering. This pattern calls for a fingering, and this Hedgehog Sporty, the non-superwash, is kind of thin. It's sort of like a skinny single, and so I went for it. I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it. It's non-superwash, so I don't have to worry about it stretching out a lot when you wash and block it. And it turned out perfect. The size is perfect. I love this, and so I'm very excited to make another one. Modifications. So the pattern calls for 3/4 sleeves. I wanted shorter sleeves just for summer. I will probably make another version and make them 3/4. I may even make a version with long sleeves. The pattern also calls for a split hem. I decided not to do that. And I love split hem. I don't know, I just decided not to, so I just went around. I did some short rows so that the back of the back hem hangs just slightly longer, and I did I think only 2 or 4 German short rows on the back of the work so that it hangs just barely a little bit longer. I'll insert a picture, so it's just a little bit longer than the front. And I think those are the only modifications I made. Oh, no, well, this isn't a modification, but as I always do on Knit in the Round garments, I always include the faux seam, so I put the purl stitch from the underarms down. I use that as like a faux seam. I like, it gives it a little more structure than just being tubular, and so for me I like that. And I think you can see, can you see that there? You can see there. There's that purl. So there's that purl faux seam. What else? Anyway, I love, oh my gosh, and this sporty weight yarn too. It's so comfortable. It's soft. It is not itchy any way, shape, or form. So if you guys are interested, you like sporty weight yarn, maybe you want to give non-superwash a try in these beautiful hedgehog colorways, definitely go on to Yarn Scout, and there's a little bit of a discount on these yarns. I don't know if they're discontinuing them. I hope not. I really, really love them, and they are not scratchy at all. This I could be in the superwash. I think it's just so soft and so nice. So I really, really like that. I love the colors. I love how it feels. It still has a nice drape. Oh, I think another modification I did was I made a slight increase going down just for the tiniest little bit of A-line. I probably increased, I don't know, 2 or 3 times on my way down the body. And that was it. Otherwise, I followed the pattern, and I really love it, and I will definitely make it again. And thank you so much, Marion M. And what is she on Instagram? I'll insert her Instagram, all the information for Marion. I'll insert that below too. Next finished object. I don't think I talked about this in my last episode. I don't believe I did. I hope not. You guys, I'm so bad. I'm not doing notes, so bear with me. If I did talk about it, I apologize. So this is my 3rd version of the My Boy Lollipop. I love this pattern too. This is so great. I used Asylum Fibers in the colorway I'm Alive. It's a DK weight yarn. The pattern calls for DK weight yarn. My modifications are slight. I made this section a little bit longer, so my ribbing is a little bit shorter, but you can really, Nancy wrote the pattern in such a great way that you can modify to your, desire and your taste. I saw, if you look at the project pages or follow the Instagram hashtag, My Boy Lollipop Cal, you will see that knitters have made it, they'll stop here and the ribbing the ribbing's this long. Or some have knit it much longer and a narrow ribbing. You can do so much with it. It's really beautiful. The sleeves on this version, my first version, I did the sleeves. They're sort of just like a little cap or shoulder sleeve. So I did that. The second version, I made them slightly longer. And this one, I added even a little bit more. And instead of doing, I did the twisted rib around here as well. With each version I make very slight modifications. Now, what I did on this one is the other two hung much more off, they were getting close to off my shoulder, and which is fine because I can wear a tank under it and it looks really cute. But if I want to wear this alone, the others, for me, I don't like wearing off the shoulder things. I'm very bony here, so I try to cover up those, I feel like I look like a hanger with those two little hooky things. So I really prefer to have something cover my shoulder there. So what I did here is, I cast on the same number that I always cast on, but I started, I think, 3 needle sizes down. And so I could follow the pattern exactly. I just started with a much smaller needle size, so it really brought this neckline up. And so this one fits, it's beautiful. I love the fit on this one. Nancy I love this little detail that Nancy incorporates into the front, which gives it a slight dip here. Another thing, if you saw on Instagram, you saw that I posted a picture of before and after the slip stitch crochet around the neckline. And I got a few comments that people were like, oh my God, I have to do that. And so to me, it really adds a nice finishing touch to garments. So I do that. I put a slip stitch on the hem, on my sleeve cuffs, and around the neckline. So I think most of you are familiar with this pattern, so there isn't a lot to say. What's interesting is before I told you that I'm a cool complected person, so I tend to shy away from warm colors like orange or peach or salmon colors because they can wash me out. Not as much as camel. Oh my God, you guys. I always wanted a camel hair sweater and camel color. And I bought one many, many years ago. And it was cashmere and a turtleneck. And it was so beautiful. And so we were visiting my husband's aunt in Connecticut. And I wore it. And someone took a photograph of us. And when I saw the picture, I got rid of that sweater. I cannot wear earth tones. I was so washed out. I looked yellow or gray. It was horrible. I said, gosh, we want to try to look our best. And so we should stick with colors that really complement our complexions. But this one I fell in love with. Stephanie from Asylum Fibers had posted a picture of this color and it was so gorgeous. And so I can actually wear this. It looks very pretty. It doesn't wash me out. I think because some of the sort of the salmony rose colored, I'm not sure what shade to call it, but it has enough coolness in it that I can wear it. And so I love this colorway. It's gorgeous. And the yarn is beautiful. It's stunning. I did not alternate skeins, as I know a lot of people suggest to do. I did not. Excuse me. I don't mind pooling, and I have seen photographs where knitters will alternate, and I still see pooling. in the yarn. Not always, I think it depends, but to me it's not worth the hassle of switching and just, I don't know. Not that it's a big deal to alternate, because it isn't. You do that on this pattern as well, and it's not a big deal, but I don't know. I don't like alternating. I can live with the pooling. And actually, to me, the pooling just gives a beautiful effect. This one too, on the sides, I always put my little pearl ridge. I always put my little pearl faux seam, and the back. So that is that one. Let me see what else. I think that is it. Oh, just quickly, the sand art cowl. I want to just mention this quickly. The sand art cowl, someone requested that they wanted to see it actually on the neck. So I am going to put this on and just show you. Here's how it falls. So you can tuck this in if you want, right? You can make a tighter neckline. If you don't want the neckline so loose, you can do that. You can make this portion very wide so that it will hang lower. And that's why the pattern that is on Ravelry, it's a free pattern on Ravelry, the Sand Art Cowl. And that's why it's a recipe, because you can really play with it. This version that I did for the tutorial, as you can see, right, it has an uneven hem for the bottom. And this one looks like that. And again, if you want a tighter neckline and you want a bigger funnel, you can play with that. So as I said, it is a free pattern, a pattern recipe on Ravelry. If you have any questions, please message me. You can message me on Instagram. You can message me in Ravelry. I do check Ravelry. I do use Ravelry. I love Ravelry. I'm a huge fan of Ravelry, and I do check it like daily, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. So if you have any questions about the Sand Art Cowl or the tutorials, the tutorials are up on YouTube. Just message me and I will be happy to help you out. Am I making another My Boy Lollipop? Yes, I am. Here is my 4th My Boy Lollipop. You guys, oh my goodness. Wait, I don't want to drop the yarns. Some of you may have seen. Sometimes it annoys me to use waste yarn, and then as you're working, the waste yarn gets really tight around this area, and picking them up is kind of a pain. And so I decided to just use 16-inch circulars to hold my stitches, and then when I go back and pick up to do the arm, it's much easier. I'm not a magic loop girl, I'm a DPN girl. So this is the My Boy Lollipop. Okay, this is called Save the Tatas by Dragonfly Fibers. This is a Rowan yarn, a mohair glitter, and they don't make it anymore. I think I bought this at a local yarn store. They had a sale on it, so I just bought a bunch of it. And it's been in my stash for years. So this My Boy Lollipop, I'm actually doing some, this one I'm doing a little different. Instead of the back neckline matching the front of the neckline, you can sort of see I'm going straight across. I'm not making that little detail in the back. And so I'm doing my increases in different placement than Nancy had written the pattern. And as I said, every time I make a pattern, I will make slight adjustments just so they don't look exactly the same. So this one, I think, it's mohair and it's kind of heavy. And so this one I think will be great for Rhinebeck. And I actually, you guys, I've already got sort of a costume planned out for Rhinebeck. and for Vogue Knitting Live, because it's going to be their 10-year anniversary in January. So you guys, you have to go. You have to. So make your plans for Vogue Knitting Live in January, New York City. Anyway, so this one I won't be able to wear in the summer. It'll be way too hot, but I do love it. I love the colors, and I think it's just so great. I am making it just a tiny bit, instead of doing decreases as the pattern calls for, I'm keeping it a little. I did make some decreases, but I didn't do as many. There aren't that many decreases, but I'm not doing quite as many. And I'm going to make on this version, the bodice, I'm going to make it a little bit longer, and then I will do, my ribbing will be slightly shorter, and I think I may bring just a little bit longer. And this one, the sleeves, I haven't decided yet. They will probably be, I'm debating if they will be short like this, if they'll be a little longer to the elbow, or just below, just longer than the elbow. I haven't decided yet. So that is where I'm at with this. Oh my God, you guys. If you are unfamiliar with Dragonfly fibers, check them out. This yarn, Save the Tatas, that I'm using for this version of my Boy Lollipop is a BFL. And as some of you probably don't remember, I'm going to show you something. It's interesting, and this is what I love to do. Gosh, I'm a little dry here. Sorry. I used this yarn, and I had enough left over for my Boy Lollipop in another sweater. Maybe I'll go grab that sweater, because it's curious how I use the same yarn and how different the colorway is depending on my mohair. And yes, of course. But as I'm knitting this one, I'm thinking, wow, that is such a huge difference in the final fiber, the coloring of the fiber based on what you're mixing it with. And it's so cool. And I really do. And actually, I wondered what would happen if I mix this with a gray. Maybe a gray, because there are some sort of, maybe it's more mauve. So if I pull up like a grayish, a mauvey gray or grayish mauve colorway, that too would be really cool to try. But I love this yarn. It's BFL. It's called Selkie Sport. So it is BFL and silk, and it is super, super fabulous. So check them out. But hold on a second, because I want to get the other project I made with this yarn and show you the difference. She's back! Okay. You may recall, some of you, that I made this sweater for VKL, New York. And it is the same exact yarn, but I mixed it with, I think it was a hedgehog. It was their silk mohair, but I don't remember the colorway. I think it was Whisper. I could be wrong. I'll put it below. But look at this. Let me show you up close. Look at how, oops, I'm stepping through my yarn. Look at the difference. You'd almost never know it was the same You'd almost never know that was the same colorway. Isn't that cool? Here, let me do it from a distance too. So you'd almost never know this is, the same colorway. So that is Save the Tatas by Dragonfly Fibers. Check them out. Very cool. And I think for that's all my, okay, so works in progress. Okay, so I showed you this one, and I'm just starting. It's not much to show you, but I will show you. I was too lazy to move my table and move everything around today, so I'm a little unorganized today. Oh, and this one printed out too dark. This is Love Note. I'm using the same 3 colorways that I used for the Matrimonio Bolero. I'm holding them together, and this and so I just started. And what's this big lump here? That is for my slip stitch crochet for the neckline when I'm done. So I just cast on, but I'm using, because I love those three colorways held together, I thought I would do the love note in that. So, but not much to show you now. And hopefully my cast on stitches and the needle size I based on other garments I've made, and actually I used this one too as a guide, and hopefully I'm hoping that I guessed correctly. OMG, you guys, OMG. Many of you are already familiar with, and by familiar I mean have purchased, Skein Cocaine, like their baby grand, her baby grand yarn. I wanted, because a brush Surrey, I love Surrey because it's like mohair, of course, and I love all those colors. And so I just received, I'm so excited. I just received these. Oh my God, you guys. And these are definitely my cool colors. Even though there's 100,000 colors worked into these yarns, the dye, these are definitely, they're cooler. It's heavier on the cool side of the color wheel. And so they are really great for me, and I'm so excited. And I think, what I'm thinking about doing is, I don't know that, I will probably just knit something. I've been knitting with mohair and lace for many, many years, and just knitting basic pullovers. And I think that's what I'm going to do with these. I think I want to show off the yarn, and so I'm not going to do any kind of patterning. Maybe some very modest lace work, but nothing intricate. And even that I may not do. I think what I may do is just make a very simple pullover to really show off and spotlight this fabulous yarn. So that is very cool. I'm very excited. If you haven't already, do check out the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. Both have articles about knitting. The one in the New York Times is about knitting and science, and there are some, I think they're at Virginia Tech maybe, some physics and engineering students that are studying knots, and knitting and crochet are all about knots. And it was a group of women, scientists or future scientists, and it was really cool. So they knit and crochet, but they were mostly talking about knitting and how the fabric, and it's really cool about how there are equations to predict the knots, the type of knots that you make, and the finished fabric. Now not me personally, but designers know based on their experience and the knot choices, whether it's cable or lace or stockinette or garter stitch or whatever, they know what their finished fabric will look like. But it's really cool that now we have sort of these mathematical equations that can predict that. And being married to a scientist, my husband's a physicist, actually he pointed the article out to me, and so I thought that was really interesting, so do check that out. And the one in the Wall Street Journal talks about how knitting is now being used in some wellness programs at the corporate level to get the employees off their phones, off their iPads, off their social media for a little while, just to give their brain a break. The article in the Wall Street Journal is called In Mindful Knitting. It's about the journey, not the scarf. So, and then the subtitle is Phone Addicts Forced to Unplug and Stitch in Meditation, Making a Lopsided Sweater. And that, I think, is very cool. So they're talking about a Google sales team, and they hired this company, which, oh my God, what is it called? What is it called? Knitters. See, we knitters, we already know about the benefits of knitting and crochet and needlepoint. And I think others don't really realize. I mean, they sort of do. Like friends of mine will say, oh yeah, I know it's, idle hands or the devil's something, whatever that expression is. But I think it's more than that. I think, not us in our community, but many people, they don't really make and create things, and you do in the computer, and that's cool too. But I love working with my hands and then, getting this beautiful garment. It's so satisfying, isn't it? Let me look. 10A, 10A. I apologize. See, this is what happens when you don't make your notes. So what the heck is in it? We Are Knitters is mentioned in this article, and New York's Nitty City Yarn Store is mentioned in this article. Check out those articles. Today is Saturday. It is the beginning of our Memorial Day weekend. We have our summer bookends are Memorial Day and then Labor Day in September. Yes, our bookend holidays, bookends of summer. And so it is the Memorial Day weekend. My husband and I don't really have anything planned. We're such homebodies, and I prefer to knit. Someone asked me in my knitting group, they said, how many hours do you knit a day? And I said, well, maybe 6 to 8. And that's probably, you guys, I'm so bad. Dishes will sit in the sink until 3 in the afternoon. And sometimes I'm in my pajamas until 3 in the afternoon. And then I realize, God, I need to walk the dogs, go on my power walk, go and get food for dinner. It's crazy, crazy. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks again for your support. Thank you for subscribing. Oh, remember, in 2 weeks is Worldwide Stitch in Public Day. I would prefer to use stitch because I want to include knitters, crocheters, and any other fiber enthusiasts out there. Crochet Luna and I will be at Griffith Park Observatory in the front of the observatory, and so we will be there from noon until 3 p.m. on Saturday, June 8th. I would love to meet you, see what you're working on, see your finished object, and we can hang out and take pictures with the Hollywood sign in back of us. It'll be great fun. So happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy fibering, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks so much. Bye.